This is Comic Picks by the Glick, and here's your host, Jason Glick.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, John. Okay, this week we're gonna look at something that's happened like after the whole manga invasion the past couple of years. I mean, like, any proof of a successful medium or genre is its ability to support stuff that doesn't just outside the mainstream. Like, yeah, you got your Shonen Jump stuff, you got your Bleach, you got your Naruto, so you got your Vampire Knight stuff like shit like that. But for all the stuff that exists outside of the mainstream, like your art house fare, what's any proof of any successful medium or genre is that it can support additional stuff outside of that thing. Like, you got your film, you got your art house stuff. I mean, stuff you have to drive out to L.A. or New York to see, and that's true, and that has proven true of manga as well, because it has its own art house, so to speak, genre of specialized stuff that people are only like really hardcore fans of the genre who are looking for a different experience, stuff that you can't get from the mainstream, stuff you can't get from Naruto and Bleach and all that stuff. So basically, this is going to be the art manga podcast.
Art manga.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and that's fair, because the last couple of times you talked about largely just graphic novels that are published here.
Yeah.
With X-Men and Wolverine.
Yeah, I mean, the last two podcasts are X-Men and Wolverine, and God knows, I say art, and I'm probably scared off every single listener we have right now. But no, that's probably mean. That's mean of me. It's like to assume that our readership our listenership doesn't actually have the capacity for appreciating art and stuff. And that's bad, Jason. Bad. So here we go. It's for just art manga, there is one publisher that specializes in this stuff. They've made a name of themselves for the past couple of years. That's Fanfare Ponent Mon. I'm probably pronouncing this wrong because they're a French-based publisher. I've actually met one of their lead guys at Comic-Con a couple of times. So I've met him 1 year. He complimented me on my Blade of the Immortal shirt. The second year, he informed me hey, you know what? Anything I sell right here is I offer a discount at Comic-Con. And I'm hey, that's great. I was gonna prepare to buy all your shit for full price, but hey, you're gonna offer me a discount. That's awesome. Okay, one of the things I didn't buy a discount, and that Brian is reading right now, is a book called Doing Time by Kazuichi Hanawa. Now, Mr. Hanawa. Basically, he was sentenced to 3 years in jail in the mid-'90s for possessing illegally modified firearms and real firearms in Japan. Because Japan, they frown on owning or possessing real firearms. So they don't frown on it, they outlaw it. It's against the law. You can't own real firearms. So that's why you see so much. That's why the gun culture sprung up so much in Japan, because you can't own this shit.
Right.
Okay, now his story, he wrote... And in Doing Time, his story, somewhat fictionalized, but I imagine not entirely, of his few years in jail.
Right. And
you look at this and you realize that, you know what, you don't want to go to jail in Japan. Why is that? Not because of the sodomy issue, and like I say, there really isn't a sodomy issue in Japan. It's because it's really fucking boring. I mean, you go to jail in Japan, and you are looking like just having your entire life being dictated to you by the people who are in charge. I mean, you are all the superintendents, they're telling you hey, you know what, you have free time at this time, you have exercise at this time, you have work at this time, and that's it. Your life is dictated to you by the people in charge of you. I mean, you can't even. There's sometimes when you're working, you can't even go to the bathroom when you want.
Wow.
I mean, crazy. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, and
you mean jail was a concept? It actually just is an incarceration place and not club bed.
Yes, I mean, a lot of stuff in his volume. You look at it and you realize you're just doing stuff. I mean, you're just trying to pass time as best you can. Talk with your buddies and you're just doing work. I mean, it's boring as shit, and and to be honest, it doesn't come off quite as boring in the manga. Because I mean, if you've read any of the work by Harvey Picard, I mean, he's got an ability to make even the most mundane stuff interesting, and Hanuma does that to a certain extent here. I mean, he just goes into the absolute most boring detail. I mean, just using the John, not being able to smoke whenever he wants, talking with his buddies about what's going on, and so it's very very much a true slice of life type manga. Only just it's the slice of life it's depicting to you is just kind of like it's kind of something a slice of life that you really wouldn't want to experience yourself. And it's quite good. I mean, and the most interesting part, is that he's talked about how often he's fed in Japan. I mean, it's like all the people, everyone in Japan, like, all the prisoners, they get fed like 3 times a day, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Sure.
And it's like they get. He talks about all the good stuff they get, like mackerel, like rice. Even though the rice is kind of bland, because they're prisoners, they still get fed like even better than like most regular people in Japan would get. I mean, they just to the point where the author even compares himself to a pig after all the stuff he's getting, like from the prisons. I mean, it's good stuff. It's interesting stuff. It illustrates an aspect of life in Japan that you really wouldn't consider otherwise. I mean, it does get kind of redundant after a while. There's only so much you can say about life in prison about the boringness of life in prison before it actually becomes boring in itself.
Yeah.
But it's still an interesting volume if you want to check it out. I mean, it's like his art is very, very, very forward realistic for the most part. I mean, goes into a whole lot of detail, artistic detail for all his prison life, for showing what life is like in his cell and what his buddies are doing for a while. I mean,
so this is no Scared Straight kind.
No, it's more like that's more like, hey, you know what I did in my life in prison? I just sat around. I made bags. Like I had to squat over this wooden toilet in order to shit. I mean, it's like you hear something like, God, man, it's like I either just just not want to go to prison in Japan because like I'd either be bored of my fucking skull. Yeah, as it is. It's different, and if you're interested, if you want to see what life in prison is like, I'd recommend.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, one of the authors that Fanfare put up on has published they made their name off this is Jiro Taniguchi. He's got a very realistic style, very detailed. I mean, you look at his stuff, and he will draw every fucking blade of grass in his work.
Nice.
And he's got a good real sense of storytelling as well, but it kind of misses the mark in his most recent work. One of their I think one of the things I hyped up for last year's releases. And this is called The Quest for the Missing Girl.
Oh.
Basically, it talks about a mountain climber, like professional mountain climber, a guy who basically like makes his living bringing people up mountains and down mountains, and a guy named Shiga, and he finds out that from his sister-in-law, his niece Megumi has gone missing in Japan, or in Tokyo actually, and it shows that this real rugged guy, this mountaineer, who goes down to Tokyo to find out what his sister's been doing, what his niece has been doing, and just like find out where she's gone, and it's a very, very straightforward work. I mean, he goes down there. Everything you expect from this kind of story would happen to him. He goes down there. He finds out that the girls they're kind of like prostituting themselves for guys for their time, and there's these gangs around Tokyo who just beat you up for asking the wrong questions, stuff like that. I mean, it's too straightforward. I mean, his quest. I mean, he goes down there. He beats people up. He gets beaten up. He finds out some answers. He eventually finds out she's been kidnapped by this businessman who's heir to a really well known business, and he's got to employ some of his mountaineering skills, which is probably the most important, most interesting part of the book, where he actually uses his mountaineering skills in order to scale this building in order to get his niece back. But overall, I mean, it's got some great art, really well detailed, really brings you into the setting of the city. But overall, it's just kind of very, very straightforward. I mean, there's no twists, no surprises, no nothing. I mean, it's not bad, but as I was reading this, I couldn't help but think, but what would an American writer who specializes in crime, like say Ed Brubaker, who does great stuff with criminal And what would he have done with this book? What would he have done if he had been teamed up with Jiro Taniguchi as Edward Rickard had written it and Jiro Taniguchi had illustrated? That's the kind of story that I would have been more interested in than the one we got. I mean, it's not bad, but I don't know. As far as art goes, it's decent enough. Yeah. That being said, Jiro Taniguchi shows you why he's considered an important figure in the manga scene with his anthology collection, The Ice Wanderer, and it's a lot of stories influenced by Jack London, the author of Call of the Wild and White Fang, and his story about man versus the wilderness. I mean, you got stories about Jack London actually going into the wild, like into the ice, into the California gold rush, and like meet up with this native hunter who basically tells him what about hunting and what just like how what's necessary in order to survive in the California wilderness, like when it comes to winter, and just like realizing, hey, you know what, I can't do this, I got to get out of here. And like, well, my buddies who are coming here to come hunt gold with me, we've got to get the fuck out of here as well. Because if we don't, we're gonna die. Yeah, and you also get other interesting stories such as these two couriers who are trying to get the body of this one nobleman out of the wilderness before these wolves try and eat all of them as well. And another story about this one Japanese hunter whose son was killed by this one bear that he failed to kill years ago, and the bear comes back. He's got to try and take it out as well, but he's also got to deal with his faithful dog who's pregnant with pups at the time as well. He's got to try and save this too. I mean, there are also some slice of life stories in here as well. It's talking about this one guy who became friends with this one girl, like when he was doing a summer vacation. Part in this one tropical part of Japan, and also a story, guessing is semi-autobiographical of Taniguchi as well, and him staying in this one communal inn where he's working on his manga submissions to this one magazine as well, and it also finishes up with this one story of a guy who's tracking this one particular whale over the years, and then as this whale goes off to die, he wants to track this whale to find out where does it go, where's it go to its life, and he also wants to find the secret burial ground of the whales, such as it is. And they're all good stories of man versus nature, even if like it tends towards more the personal as it is. And Taniguchi's art is beautiful as always, and really I'd recommend buying, if you can buy one Jiro Taniguchi story, I'd buy The Ice Wanderer more than anything else. That shows you what he's capable of.
Okay.
Now, moving more back towards the personal aspect of Fanfare Opponent Bond's output is Disappearance Diary by Hideo Azuma. Now, Mr. Azuma was responsible for the promotion of the Lolicon, a Lolita complex style of Japanese art.
Okay.
Yeah, so like if you're whenever you're looking at a doujinshi that involves like Sakura or just like any other character involved in some weird sexual act, you can like blame this guy more than anything else.
Nice.
Now, that being said, his work in Disappearance Diary is quite fascinating because it starts off by saying, what do we got here? This manga has a positive outlook on life, and so it has been made with as much realism removed as possible. Because Disappearance Diary involves discusses the three times in Azuma's life when he just like dropped out of proper contact with society. The first time when his deadlines and work got too much, he just went and became a homeless guy who just went around looking for dumpster diving for food, and doing a good job of it. Like, he actually gained weight during his homeless time as a homeless guy because he became so good at finding good stuff to eat. Mm-hmm. His second time when he dropped out, he ran away from his responsibilities again, and then instead of being homeless, he actually wound up becoming a working for a gas company, becoming an expert pipe fitter, and learning everything there is to know about that. Mm-hmm. And the third time, when his alcoholism became so severe that his family committed him to a hospital in order for him to make sure he gets straight from this experience. Mm-hmm. Now, it's an interesting autobiography because it's focused on the positive aspect of life. In that, it's like these kind of things, like you just him like talk about the hardships, the suffering that he experienced, but no, it's like he portrays like all the stuff he experienced as just like one big adventure. It's like just like, hey, I was like I was homeless, and then I found just dealing with like all the stuff I found. Like, hey, I found this this tarp that allowed me to like make a proper bed over these proper blankets about how to sleep. Or hey, I found like a box of cookies in this trash bin. So like just like it sounds like he makes his experience sound like a lot of fun, and to be honest, it's a more interesting aspect than if he had approached a more realistic aspect. It gets you to focus on what isn't addressed. For instance, I'm looking at this, I'm realizing, dude, man, what did your wife think of what was going on as you're going through all this? Like, what was she experiencing? Like, what, like, and what kind of stuff are you leaving out here? What are you not telling us about your experience? Mm-hmm. So even though it's like he's selectively leaving out all this stuff, it's successful in that he gets us to think about, like, consider his whole experience, even if the whole experience is left up to our imagination, such as it is. I mean, and his art is nice as well. I mean, to be honest, even though we also get a good chunk of him talking about his growth and work as a manga artist. And like, to be honest, reading some of this stuff, I want to see what else is this guy done, because he had a strong sci-fi influence. So like, aside from just like work promoting the Lolicon style, he actually gained a lot of fame and popularity, like as a straight manga artist as well. I mean, like, it's kind of funny because at one point he even talks about making a Lolicon book for Comic-Con, Japan's big doujinshi exhibition, right. And him and a bunch of his other friends saying, "We'll drive Yaoi out of Comic-Con." Yeah, good luck, buddy.
Maybe a long time ago.
Yeah, so like I'd be interested in seeing like a story, like a volume about him talking about all that, about his efforts to drive Yaoi out of Comic-Con. I mean, Comic-Con.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the other Comic-Con.
Yeah, yeah, the American version.
Right.
Anyway, but like Fanfare put him on. They don't have the monopoly on art manga, and to be honest, like the other imprint that does a lot of good stuff is Viz's signature imprint.
Okay.
Yeah. If anyone's been reading my my posts on the website about, but you know that I think that Viz's signature imprint, pretty much like all the stuff they do from there is worth reading. I mean, not necessarily owning. I'm talking about Ocean Boat and Drifting Classroom specifically here, but a lot of stuff is really good. And one of their best stuff is one of their best releases is Solanin by Inio Asano. And this guy, he's one of the current masters of the avant-garde art manga in Japan. He's put a lot of good stuff. And Solanin, as it's one I've heard, is one of his first releases. It's just a story of Meiko Inoue and her struggle and her friend's struggle. Just they're 20-somethings in Japan and trying to, like we've graduated from college, we're getting regular jobs, and like, what else do we want to do? What do we want to do with life? And her boyfriend is like he's got his regular job at design firm, but his real passion is making rock music, and with his buddies. And it's fun seeing them try to pursue a career as an actual band, but even if it doesn't actually turn out as exactly as they expected. But to be honest, like I'm reading this and just a story of like just like not knowing what you want to do, just like trying to find your way in life. That appeals to me because like I still don't know what I want to do. I mean, I got my regular job and that allows me to buy all the comics I want. But what do I want to do with life? Where am I going to go from here?
Some of the most interesting 40-year-olds I know still don't.
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember who said that, but yeah, but overall, like it's an interesting story of just people who don't know what they want to do, with their life and just exploring where that goes from here. I mean, it's a lot of it's interesting, and it's got some surprising twists as well as her relationship with her boyfriend doesn't go through these standard paces, and you even find out that, oh wait, we're not actually going to go in with them getting married and living happily ever after all. And it also helps that his art is absolutely fantastic. I mean, like, aside from actually drawing stuff with incredible detail, he's got a real knack for showing, like, for just like drawing everything in a scene. I mean, it's good stuff, and I'm really looking forward to their impending release of What a Wonderful World by Asano later this year. So overall, good stuff. And to be honest, like, yeah, it's like, I mean, if you like, as far as art manga goes, I mean, there's lots of good stuff. I mean, there's some bad stuff, but there's some stuff that just goes like, oh yeah, this kind of leaves me depressed and cold. But as it is, like some I talked about, I mean, I enjoyed. I kind of recommend. Like, well, you heard what I said, but it's good that like a manga has such a foothold as far as like stuff that that you're going to promote. It's good that manga has established a foothold instead of short stuff that it's. Talking about stuff, being able to release stuff that's beyond the mainstream, stuff that doesn't represent your standard shonen fighting, like shoujo manga romance or seinen angst and ultraviolence.
Yeah.
That you normally see, and I'm glad that we get stuff like this. I mean, yeah, not all of it's worth buying, but overall, it's. I don't know. It's like most of the stuff kind of is, but even so, like it's always worth an effort. It's if you're willing to look past like the most popular stuff to find out, look at all the art stuff. You kind of find that some of the stuff again, it kind of is worth your time. It's worth checking out.
And most of these are single. This is just single volumes.
Yeah, all the stuff I mentioned is single volumes.
In other words, you don't have to. The reason why I say that is a lot of shonen titles tend to have multiple volumes. So
yeah, we're talking about like stuff like Bleach or Naruto that go on like 30s or 40s. Mm-hmm. The stuff, yeah, it's like you have to pay one volume in order to get yourself a good story right here.
There you go.
Okay, and on that note, we're gonna call it a night. And hey, like I recommend like just look beyond like the normal stuff for this week.
There you go. All right, see you next time.
Laters.